This week's video is all about our windows. They're European tilt-turn style, made by a company called Alpen, and as you can see, they're fairly unique. I want to pick up our windows. Got my labor behind us. We worked with Alpen to order these windows nearly 4 months ahead of when we actually received them. They were made to order, and it took a lot of mental energy and thought to even get the order how we wanted it. With a lead time that long, it's really important to get this taken care of early. There's the semi, way down there. We were told from the start that the freight delivery driver would not help unload, so we needed to bring our own labor. Thanks a lot to my buddy Jason and his brother Max for coming to help. And we also needed a way to get it off the semi, so luckily I still had the flatbed truck. I was borrowing it at the time for framing. Shout out to my friend Baron for letting me borrow that. We unloaded it off the flatbed into the garage, and I built a little teepee to keep it out of the sun. The manufacturer specifically said don't let them sit in the sun when they're wrapped. Before I finish the rough opening prep, I want to get our actual windows prepped. These are special windows, very expensive units. They're made by a company called Alpen out in Louisville, Colorado. Pretty much some of the best windows you can buy. We wanted to really get good quality units for this build. Didn't want to be something we wanted to upgrade later down the line. So we went with these guys, and because they're made in Colorado, they have kind of a special operation you have to do before you can install them. The windows come with these Mylar balloons, which look to be flat basically, but they actually have a little bit of argon in them, and that's to allow the window to equalize pressure when it comes down from the high elevation of Colorado down to where we are in somewhere like Pennsylvania. There's these little thin capillary tubes that basically are able to transfer the argon in and out of the window. It happens very slowly though. And when you get the windows on site, you're supposed to let them acclimate for a couple days and then go ahead and crimp these tubes. Basically just taking a pair of pliers, crimping it in 3 spots, cutting it, and then dipping the end in sealant. So that's what I'm gonna do. Of course, I'm following the manufacturer's instructions pretty carefully, but basically what it boils down to is going out 1/4 inch from the glazing, and then squeezing hard with a pair of pliers. I have to get a bigger pair. Being really careful not to screw up the finish on the window. That would not be good. Then coming out another 1/4 inch, doing the same thing. And finally, one more at the end. Hopefully by the time you've done all 3 of these, at least one of them has done its job. And you're supposed to cut it about 1 inch from the balloon. Boom. And then a quick dip in some silicone sealant. Just to make doubly sure there's not going to be any leaks. Before I flashed the openings, I did a double check on level and plumb. Not sure what I would have done if they weren't correct, but thought I would sanity check anyway. Then I unrolled 6-inch zip tape onto the sill. That covered most of it, and then I used the more expensive stretch tape at the corners, 6 inches up the jamb, and stretched that onto the wall. The stretch tape works really well. It makes a really solid corner seal and is super easy to apply. On this trial run, I also did 3-inch tape to totally cover the sill. That felt like a little bit of overkill, so I only did it on the first one. Then the guys from the Amish crew we hired to help frame loaded the windows up onto the telehandler lift and got them up to the openings. That work platform was crucial for installing these heavy windows so high up in the air. The triple mole units in the dormers were 300 pounds each, and the double moles on the back of the wall were 200 pounds. To help lift these heavy windows, the recommendation from Alpen is to get some big suction cups. Luckily, Harbor Freight has these, and they're relatively cheap. I think they're about $10 for these double suction cup handles. They're good to 125 pounds of lift force, and they worked great for us. The biggest advantage of a tilt-turn or a casement style window with a fixed gasket is that it seals a whole lot better than the sliding gaskets you'll find on the double hung windows common in most of America. There's a reason you don't see sliders or double hung windows on submarines, and it's because sliding gaskets just do not seal as well as a fixed door style gasket. So why not incorporate the same principle into our windows? How are you looking on screws?
Good. I think we'll have
Here's the screws that we use to fasten the windows in. These are GRK 2-inch cabinet screws. They have a sort of a flanged washer head to spread the load out, and they're very low profile. We put a screw in every single hole in the flange. Can you help me pull a quick square measurement just from the corner of that frame? 7 foot 3/16. Yep, looking good.
Just before setting the window into the rough opening, I placed these stackable horseshoe shims on the sill. To keep the shims from sliding around, I just put a dab of window sealant on them. Alpen has some really specific instructions on shimming, so just make sure to read those if you're doing this. I know we didn't follow these instructions to an absolute T. It would have taken all day to install each window, but everything seems to have turned out okay anyway so far.
Not quite though, it's close. Almost need, I wish I had 30-second shims. Let me get my 4-foot level. How you looking? Pretty decent? Mm-hmm. This is the sealant that we used, OSI Quad Max in white. It's just a very high quality polyurethane based caulk, and it will hopefully hold up for quite a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks pretty decent here. And then of course on the outside we flashed with zip tape across the head and down each jamb. We did not tape across the bottom. In the event of any water getting onto the rough sill, it has a place to leak out. The series we chose is called the Tyrol. It's an extruded PVC frame, and to achieve the black look both inside and out, it's wrapped with a special type of foil that is heat adhered onto the surface. The glass is triple pane, it's argon filled. For our one fixed unit, I think the U value is 0.12, all the rest are 0.15 for the operable units. So honestly, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that when it comes to window performance in 2022. The windows open inward, so the screens have to be on the outside. These little tabs are spring loaded, you just pull on them, it pulls a peg out of the window frame, and you can pull the screen to the inside. It's really handy to be able to open them up like this, sort of like a casement window, but reverse. That way you can clean the outsides. Here's the tilt configuration, so this allows fresh air to come into the room without letting any water in. One nice thing to note is they use no fuss stickers. These don't have any real adhesive on it. It was just static, I guess, holding them on. We looked at other brand names such as Marvin, and they actually couldn't even come close to the thermal performance that these ones could. Not to mention, Marvin were wood windows and they required some maintenance and upkeep throughout the years that we just didn't really want to do. With the UPVC and the foil wrap, we should not have to worry about that. Having black windows always has a risk of fading as well, and so I had a little bit more confidence in the foil holding its hue than just traditional paint. We could always paint them if we need to, but I really don't want to. One thing you might be wondering is cost. What do these things run us out the door? And I will tell you, compared to a Home Depot grade window, gosh, are they expensive. They're probably triple the price of normal windows. Per unit, so that's a double mulled window, that's 2 units. Per unit, they're about $1,000 each. So each one of those double mulled units is about $2 grand. In total, we have technically 6 windows, but 4 of those 6 are mulled units. We have 1 fixed and then 1 single tilt turn. Altogether, our package was right around $13,500. So clearly windows were one thing that we were willing to splurge on. We spent a lot on these because we didn't want to have to upgrade them down the road. Simple as that. The house that we build onto this eventually is going to have matching windows, and we didn't want to cheap out on those either. So for us, it was worth the money. I think we'll be really comfortable with how they perform thermally and with very low air leakage rates, and I'm excited to see how it works when we're actually moved in. But we still have quite a ways to go for that, so I won't get too ahead of myself. Anyway, hope you got something from this video. If you're thinking about getting Alpen windows, leave a comment down below. I'll answer any questions you have. We're really happy with ours. Install was fairly easy. Install is actually not done. I still have to shim around all these windows and use Baccarat and caulk to seal them all on the insides, but they're at least all screwed in from the outside. They're flashed properly with zip tape and they're not leaking any water. So as always, thanks for watching. We appreciate you following on this journey, and we'll see you next time.